All right, so thank you for tuning in to Chompin the Bit. Thank you for joining me. I'm Kyle Edwards, of course. This is episode number 82. This episode, I'm going to do some NFL talk because I've kind of come to the decision that I want to probably stick with the NFL theme on Sundays at least because, you know, if anything big happens during the week. Of course, I will still do some NFL talk during the week, but Sunday, I think I'm going to keep it for NFL just to keep the momentum or the just common procedure. Because we all know the NFL, even though they're in their off season, they still tend to kind of dominate the news wire in terms of the major sports because, well, they are the most popular of the American-based sports. Have to say that because I believe globally soccer is still more popular, but you get what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying, right? So with that, on this episode, I guess I mean it's basically the first one of the off season, so why not start it off with the most important position, quarterback. So I do think that there will be some interesting movement in terms of the quarterback position with a lot of teams. We've already seen it with Stafford and Goff being traded for each other. Plus, we already know the story about Deshaun Watson once out of Houston. Big Ben is, I guess, in the process of restructuring his contract. But the off chance that maybe he can't do it, we'll have to see what happens there. I fully expect Big Ben to be in Pittsburgh. I don't see him going anywhere else. And I mean, just looking around the league, there's plenty of other situations. You know, San Francisco with Jimmy Garoppolo. What's going to happen there? Dak Prescott, after, you know, the horrific injury he had last year. What does Dallas do with him? Alex Smith down in Washington. What happens at that situation? So, looking around the league, I mean, there are basically outside of, you know, Tom Brady in Tampa Bay, Josh Allen in Buffalo, Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. Although I've said on here before, I feel like he definitely needs to step his game up, but you know, we know that he's the guy there. I mean, outside of that, it's kind of open season with everybody. So I kind of want to look at the league and looking at their quarterback situation, decide which teams need to be the most aggressive in the quarterback market, whether it's free agency, signing, trading for a guy, or even just in the draft. Teams, I think, need a restart on the quarterback position, and teams who are probably an upgraded quarterback away from truly being a contender in the league. As I go through it, you'll understand it more. I'm sure you get it from where I'm coming from. So I guess we'll just kind of take a look. I probably, like I said, I won't need to go through each team because some teams are, for better or for worse, probably stuck with what they have. And so I guess we'll start with, I feel like I start with the NFC a lot. Let's stick with the NFC. So NFC East, we all know that division really struggled last year. And the only team in that division who can probably feel somewhat good about their quarterback position is the New York Giants. They still have Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has shown with each year that he has developed something in his game to the point where I believe he's a guy who the Giants should really look at building around at this point. You know, last year or so, there were some questions about if he was good enough and all that. I think he has shown he has good arm talent. He can make plays with his legs. I believe believe he's pretty good at, possessing of the ball. Doesn't throw too many interceptions. I mean, as I'm saying that, kind of doubt myself a little bit, so I do want to double check that. Like I said, I believe he's clearly the guy there, so they are set. I mean, their backup was Colt McCoy, and obviously, last year he was 11-10, but I think that has to do with the fact that wide receiver-wise, I think they had some injuries, plus, they could use an upgraded wide receiver anyway. Career, 35 touchdowns, 22 interceptions. It's okay. 63% completion percentage. Yeah, he's a guy they should keep around. But the rest of that division, not so much. So, Washington. I actually think Washington football team is one of those teams that should be aggressive quarterback market, because with that defense that they have, we saw it. That defense basically led them to the playoffs last year, even though the division was weak. So they got in at 7-9. But depending on what they do with Alex Smith, we all know what Alex Smith is at this point. I believe Alex Smith is the type where he should be a backup quarterback in this league. Kind of the Ryan Fitzpatrick role, where if your team is struggling, he can come in for a couple of games and you'll get good quarterback play. But they should look to get somebody else there. Where do they go for that? Sorry about that. I think they should get one in free agency. Because like I said, as a playoff team, they're going to be bottom half of the first round. If they drafted one, that would be... at that point, you'd probably be looking at drafting a Mac Jones if he's there, Kyle Trask type. I don't know if you want to use a first-round pick on either of those guys. So I would say for them, they should get a guy, maybe like a... So here's an interesting name I'll throw at you. Mitchell Trubisky. I know what you're thinking. He was kind of a disaster in Chicago. I don't know if Washington will be able to get one of the bigger name guys. Like, they're not going to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't think, or Deshaun Watson, or, Aaron Rodgers, depending on that situation in Green Bay, which I think is kind of a joke, but it is what it is. I feel like Washington, if they go free agency, they're going to get kind of your young quarterback who's on the outs with his current team. So that's Trubisky. Sam Darnold, that's the guy who, if they could put a package together, I wouldn't be shocked if they called the Jets and try to get Sam Darnold down there. Of course, with Ron Rivera there's the whole connection to Cam Newton. I just saw Cam Newton for a year with New England. Don't think that's what they need, but I guess you probably shouldn't be shocked if Cam Newton ends up there because of Ron Rivera, but they are a team who should be aggressive for sure. Dallas, my guess is Dallas is going to do what they can to get Dak Prescott, so I'm not going to really spend too much time on them. But if they don't, then they'll definitely need to get a quarterback. I feel like they're more than a quarterback away from really contending, even though we know each year they're looked at as a team that could contend. But for me, when I'm looking at contender, it's not just, making the playoffs because the rest of your division is kind of down. Contending means you're a playoff team and the other playoff teams actually fear going up against you in the playoffs. So I believe Washington is more of a threat than Dallas is in that division right now, to be honest. Now, Dallas can do some things. Upgrade wide receiver, I believe. Offensive line's getting a little iffy. It used to be good a couple of years ago. They didn't take advantage of it then. Now it's starting to become kind of an issue, so they've got to upgrade there. And defensively, their defense is what it is. It seems like their defense is never as good as people make it out to be, so they could definitely use some upgrades there. And then finally, Philadelphia. Seems like Carson Wentz is on the move, or he's not. It depends who you listen to down there. I don't know what's really going on there. I think Wentz is out, and you have Jalen Hurts. I'm hoping that they actually give Jalen Hurts a shot, because they gave him a kind of a mini shot last year, but Wentz was still there, so there was always that talk about Wentz, even though Hurts was kind of doing his thing on the football field. So I feel like Philly will stick with Hurts, but they need to upgrade wide receiver for sure. Tight end, they seem pretty set, but wide receiver, they're going to have to upgrade. So I guess we'll move quickly to where are we going? NFC North. So Green Bay, you have Aaron Rodgers. He should be the guy there, but with Aaron Rodgers' moody self, people are thinking that could he possibly be moved. I think it's all a show. I'm sure Aaron Rodgers will be there, so they're okay. The Bears. I just mentioned Trubisky with Washington. I believe the Bears are a team that needs to be aggressive. With that defense, you have Khalil Mack. You don't want to keep wasting his years there. And if they are able to get a more consistent quarterback, because I'm not going to say Trubisky's complete trash. I actually do like Trubisky a little bit. It was just that he was too up and down for a team in the Bears that's margin of error is kind of razor thin, because offensively they're not really dynamic with the running back position. Tight end, they had Jimmy Graham. He's a guy who's on the back end of his career. Wide receiver, you had Allen Robinson, but Allen Robinson's probably going to be leaving in free agency, so they're going to need to get upgraded quarterback. They're going to need to get a wide receiver for sure. I guess a name that I could see in Chicago. Maybe Carson Wentz works in Chicago. But once I get to the AFC, I have a team that Wentz will probably more likely go to. But yeah, Chicago needs to call somebody, whether it's within a division, Kirk Cousins, because he's a guy. Well, haven't gotten to Minnesota yet, but a type like that, a trusty veteran who won't make mistakes. The more I'm talking about it, sounds like you could get Alex Smith there, at least for like a kind of a transition year. And Alex Smith is a type that now this depends on if Alex Smith wants to continue playing. He had that rough injury he had to deal with, so I don't know if he's at the point where he may retire. So that's something they should probably call him and see. But yeah, Chicago needs to be aggressive. Minnesota, yeah, they are an upgrade over Kirk Cousins away from really doing some damage in the playoffs. I've wanted to give Kirk Cousins a chance there, but he's too up and down for me. He will have games where he looks like a pretty good quarterback, where he'll throw for like 300 plus, and then he'll turn it around with a performance where he's throwing like 3 interceptions, barely at 200 yards passing. And with Minnesota, you have Dalvin Cook, great running back. Can't waste those years because we don't know how long running backs are going to last. Could be a couple of years, or maybe Dalvin Cook turns into the next Frank Gore who's around forever. I don't know. But yeah, Minnesota needs to upgrade there. Who would work in Minnesota? Yeah, I don't know where Minnesota goes, because I would say they would probably do better with a free agent quarterback. Yeah. I feel like if they got a young quarterback there where they're drafting, they're kind of in the middle first round. I don't know if that quarterback would be dynamic enough in that situation to really move the needle too much. So either way, they should be aggressive in the free agent trade market. Detroit, well, they got Jared Goff, so they're set, at least for the next couple of years. Detroit is towards the top of the first round. So, I think they're only obligated to Goff for like 2 years. So Detroit's in a situation where they could use Goff for 2 years, but draft a young guy this year and kind of get them ready to take over if Goff isn't good enough. But if Goff does show that he can get back to his Super Bowl level, then you can either use Goff as trade bait in a couple of years or use the young quarterback that you take as trade bait. So Detroit could be in a decent situation. They have a new coach coming in. We'll have to see how that works. I'm not impressed with Dan Campbell at all, but hey, Detroit made that decision. We'll have to see how it plays out. NFC South, the Saints are, well, we have to see what happens with Drew Brees. I've kind of gone back and forth where after the season I assumed he was done. He hasn't filed his paperwork to retire yet, so that means he's probably still struggling with the decision. And I mean, as long as that's going to last for him, that leaves the door open for him to come back. If he does come back, it's going to be like a 1-year thing. And even if he comes back, they have Taysom Hill. They had Jameis Winston there. And I do think they need to re-sign Jameis Winston because Taysom Hill is kind of too gimmicky for me to see him as an every down, every game quarterback. I don't think he would be that successful if he's used that way. So I think Winston is the guy who would take over if Brees leaves. And Winston's the guy who we know that can put up 30 touchdowns in a season. Sure, he can put up 30 interceptions as well. Which, if you think about it, is kind of a rare feat in itself. Because most guys, even as bad as they are, will top off at like 25 interceptions or something. The fact that he got to 30 still amazes me. But he makes plays. Saints have some weapons down there, so yeah, they need to re-sign Jameis Winston. Tampa Bay, I just mentioned, they have Tom Brady, so we can move on from there. Carolina had Bridgewater. Well, they have Bridgewater, but they are a team I think they should get one in the draft. I don't think they need to go free agent wise because technically you'd probably be bringing in a Bridgewater type who I guess would be better than him, but I think with Matt Rule there as a college guy, I believe he should bring in a rookie this year and then work with them. So then, year, 2 years down the road, they're now ready with the young quarterback to try to really turn it around there. So they should go draft for sure. Falcons are an interesting team. They have Matt Ryan. I mean, I do not think Matt Ryan is on their list of issues for this offseason. But it seems like with each passing year and each passing day that more and more, it seems like they're trying to make it seem like they may really go for an upgrade at the quarterback position. And if Matt Ryan becomes available, that's going to be another name to throw into the mix. But I would say that at least the Falcons should get a young quarterback. Now, they were 4-12, so they're drafting in with like the top 10 this year. I feel like if they drafted a quarterback top 10, Ryan probably has to be gone. Because I'm not a big, I don't really subscribe to the whole, draft a quarterback and stash for like 2 years with all situations. Top 10 guy, you might as well put him out there and let him go through his lumps and mistakes, get that out of the way. That way in his second year, you can build on the first year and then he's more comfortable. Yeah, I don't like taking guys top 10 and making them sit because that seems like a waste of a pick. If they go somewhere else top 10, then I could see them getting a quarterback in the middle, like maybe like a second, I mean more like the third round. That way you can keep Ryan for like another year or two, let that third round guy develop. I mean, if you're getting one in the third round, you're looking at like Kellen Mond. Yeah, I mean, Kellen Mond is pretty good quarterback. That could be a name to look out for if they don't take one top of the first round. But I would say Falcons draft for need. Get a quarterback middle of the draft. Then get some other pieces. Offensive line for sure. Anywhere on defense. Focus on that. So they don't really need to be aggressive, but take one in the draft. NFC West, Seattle. I would have said that they were set with Russell Wilson, but now it seems like Russell Wilson may not be happy there. I still think he's not going to leave. I would be shocked if Seattle if Seattle accepted some trade for Russell Wilson. I'd be shocked. So I say stick with what you have. Whatever his grievance is, Pete Carroll needs to sit down with Russell Wilson, figure that out. He's the guy you keep. Rams have Stafford. I already covered that. I mean, he's more dynamic than Goff, so that should be a plus for them. We'll have to see how he performs with pressure. It'll be the first year he'll be dealing with pressure because in Detroit's been perennial loser, so never really any expectations. Rams, you just won 10 games with Goff. Baseline, you have to win 10 your first year there, Stafford, so we'll see. Cardinals are set. They got Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray just needs to stay healthy, and they should be fine. 49ers, I mentioned before, looks like Garoppolo's on his way out. There's some talk of Kirk Cousins going there if they can get him from Minnesota. And then Garoppolo's probably going to bounce to somewhere in the AFC, maybe. And I don't know, would Garoppolo work with the Bears? Maybe. But Garoppolo just needs to show that he can stay healthy, which is why he's on his way out in San Francisco. But yeah, they should be aggressive free agency for sure. They have a good defense there. Their running game is great. You have George Kittle as a tight end. great. Wide receiver, they have Deebo Samuel, great young wide receiver. So yeah, they should be aggressive for sure. AFC, we'll start with the East. Buffalo, Josh Allen set. I mean, they just made the AFC Championship. They're good to go. They just need Josh Allen to just continue to develop. He's pretty much there already, but they are set. Miami needs... I mean, I think they're good with Tua. I say that not really confidently because Tua showed last year that as there was more tape on him, he struggled. So hopefully with an actual off season, if there is one this year, then he could show a little better next year. So I would say for them to hold off one more year before they make a decision on Tua. But I do think they need a veteran there to help out. Now Fitzpatrick, if they should try all they can to bring him back. But if not, then they'll definitely have to get another veteran guy like an Alex Smith to back up Tua. New England, be aggressive. Yeah. Defensively, they're not that bad. They did kind of slip a little last year, but they did have a lot of opt-outs, so we'll have to see. Now that they've gotten past that first year without Tom Brady, which we all knew was going to be a lot of pressure for whoever was there. I mean, Cam Newton took on that job. Wasn't great. Had his moments. But now I do think Brady winning the title down Tampa Bay this year probably makes Bill Belichick want to be more aggressive. Now the names that are linked to New England, we've all heard. Jimmy Garoppolo, because he was there. I don't know. I feel like my idea of Jimmy Garoppolo has been kind of fading recent years because he just can't stay healthy. A lot of it isn't his fault, but I mean, if there was some way he could guarantee New England that he would be healthy all year, I wouldn't be mad at it. But depending who's there at 15, I would want them to draft a guy in the first round. Now there was a mock draft that I saw where Justin Fields would be there at 15. Bill Belichick, I know you're listening. I mean, you're really not, but if Justin Fields is there at 15, whatever. I guess they're going to do the virtual one again. Make sure Goodell has it. As soon as the clock shows you're the team on the clock, make the pick, get Justin Fields. Justin Fields would literally be probably a better young Cam Newton. Think about that. So yeah, that's what I want New England to do if he's there at 15. If he's not, I don't know. Let's hope Justin Fields is there at 15. I guess if not, they'll probably draft some like linebacker or something. But we're talking quarterbacks today, so Justin Fields there, take him. If not, probably take one second, third round, and then try to get somebody free agency. If it is Garoppolo, I guess fine. Or if they want to take on a reclamation project in Trubisky or Wentz, fine, because at least they're still young. So a lot of options for New England. They definitely should do something. Jets, we'll have to see what they decide with Sam Darnold. I have said on here before, I don't think Sam Darnold is their biggest issue, but with Adam Gase gone, we'll have to see what the new coach wants to do. The new coach may want to start over with a young quarterback, even though Darnold's like 25, I think. But maybe he wants to start with a quarterback that's actually his, and they're drafting second, so they could definitely take, Zach Wilson from BYU, who apparently is going to be the number 2 quarterback off the board. So we'll have to see there. Pittsburgh, I mean, I'm not a big Ben fan. I feel like Big Ben has been done for like 2-3 years now. Pittsburgh loves him. He'll probably be back, so we can move on. But they should draft a young guy, obviously, because Big Ben's like 39, and yeah, not getting any better. Baltimore, they got Lamar Jackson. He's set there. They need Lamar Jackson to become a better passer. I've said that on here several times. So if they want to take that next step, he has to get better, throwing the ball more accurately, for sure. Cleveland set at Baker Mayfield, Kevin Stefanski. That was their biggest thing with quarterbacks, was getting the right coach. Stefanski seems like the guy. They're set, good to go. Maybe a wide receiver could help, but they're good to go. Cincinnati, they have Joe Burrow whenever he comes back from injury, so they're set. If I were them, if Burrow wasn't ready this year, I wouldn't even sweat it. Finish at the bottom again. Just get more pieces for when Burrow's ready. That's easy for me. Moving to the AFC South. Tennessee, they have Tannehill. They seem set there. I think for them, their offense needs to become more dynamic. They are way too Derrick Henry centric. And it works in the regular season, but the playoffs, it's too easy to defend. So they need to open up the playbook or something. Colts, Phillip Rivers just retired. Colts are an interesting team because they have a really good defense. Kind of faded at the end of last year, but the defense is there. Offense, they have weapons. So they are right there on the cusp of being a contender. As I said, there's been a lot of links with Carson Wentz there because Frank Reich, as a coach there, was the offensive or quarterback coach in Philly for Wentz's almost MVP year, so naturally it makes sense. But yeah, they're gonna be aggressive because, like I said, they're right there, they're close. Houston, ridiculously, it looks like they might end up having to move Watson at some point, even though they said they're not. But if Watson's going to be pouting all year, what's the point of keeping him? And that's on them, because Watson is a guy who should be there his whole career, but because of their front office and all the foolishness that's going on there, he's sick of the team. So eventually he's going to get moved. Good luck. Well, they're probably going to have to draft a guy because I don't see a free agent quarterback wanting to go there right now. Especially one new coach that nobody knows about. Looks like he's probably not going to be there for the long haul. So, not desirable in any way. They're better off drafting a guy and just playing it out that way. Jacksonville, we already know. They're getting Trevor Lawrence, so they're set at quarterback. And Urban Meyer, I'm interested to see what Urban Meyer is like in the NFL. Because college-wise, great football mind in college, but as we've seen, that doesn't really translate to the NFL all the time. So we'll see. But like I said, Trevor Lawrence is going there. No questions about it. They are set. Finally, AFC West. Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes, we know they're set. Offensive line. They need an offensive line. There you go. The Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders. Interested to see because they have David Carr, they have Marcus Mariota. They're not both going to be there next year. You can bet on that. It's just going to be who do they decide to keep. Reportedly, John Gruden is not a big fan of David Carr. So maybe they keep Mariota, draft a guy, move Carr, get some picks, fill in other places on the team. Or they keep Carr. I believe Mariota is still under contract, so they would trade Mariota, probably get less picks, and then go that way. Either way, one of those guys will be the starter next year. Both will not be on the team. You can take that to the bank. Chargers, Justin Herbert just won Rookie of the Year. They're set. And he's pretty much set there. They have wide receivers. Their defense, defense could use an upgrade, but quarterback-wise, they're set. Herbert, love his game. Throws a great deep ball, so they're good. And finally, the Denver Broncos. I don't really know what's going on in Denver. I kind of thought Drew Lock was their guy, but then I saw him play a couple of times this year. Not that good. And they actually have weapons there. Phillip Lindsay in the backfield. They got Cortland Sutton, wide receiver. What's his name? Noah Fant, tight end. So there's talent there. I mean, they're a young team, but definitely more talent there than the 5 wins that they got this year. So, I don't know. Is that a good destination for a free agent? Maybe. I mean, playing in Mile High. John Elway. They are in a division with the Chiefs. Chargers coming on, depending how their new coach does. Gruden and the Raiders. You feel like that's going to be... I don't know. Would Denver go back in the draft for one? Oh, man, let me see. I got to see where... Because Denver was 5-11, so they're going to be top 10 for sure. I don't know. Are they top? Okay, they're drafting number 9. See, they're in a weird situation. Because by 9, depending on what the 8 teams in front of them do, Lawrence will be gone. Zach Wilson will probably be gone. I feel like Justin Fields could be gone, although he seems like the quarterback that's slipping in the draft for some reason. Would they take a Trey Lance there? Maybe. I don't really know a lot about Trey Lance. That's something I will have to do during this offseason, actually look at him. Because I've seen Trevor Lawrence play. Who hasn't? I've seen Zach Wilson play. Justin Fields I've seen. Mac Jones I've seen. Kyle Trask. Trey Lance is the guy I know literally nothing about. So, but he's supposedly supposed to go top half of the first round. So he probably does work in Denver. I think Denver isn't fully there yet to compete, but they have, like I said, weapons there to compete pretty soon. And Drew Lock is not the guy to take him there, clearly. So I think they draft a guy. And that's it. That's the whole league. So, like I said, there's going to be a lot of movement this year, a lot of changes at quarterback. And I'll probably use another episode at some point to maybe go over some of the free agent quarterbacks and see where they best fit. Or, I don't know, we'll do something with them. Whether, I think I got it. With the free agent quarterbacks, we'll see how desirable they should be. Put them on a scale of like 1 to 10. How teams should view them. That's what I'll do. But I'll do that in another episode. Probably sometime this week. If not, maybe that's the episode next Sunday. We'll see. So, yeah, that's going to do it for this episode. I guess look for probably some NBA stuff this week. Hopefully there's a final decision on the All-Star game. We'll talk about that. You know, I talked about the All-Star game before, but I mainly went at it from the perspective of if they do it, how they should do it. So if they do finalize the plans, we'll talk about that. I mean, baseball's in their off season, though. Not really a reason to talk about anything there. Nothing big's happened in baseball. Oh yeah, I am going to do U.S. soccer at some point this week. I do want to talk men's national team. I've seen them play some friendlies and all that stuff past couple of months or whatever. Actually encouraged by some stuff that I'm seeing. So I want to talk about that. Might talk about some college, but yes, I will talk some college basketball this week as well. Because if you haven't been paying attention, this college basketball season is probably going to be as unpredictable as last year's like bubble NBA season was, where you weren't really sure what to expect. But I think the same thing's for this college basketball season. I'll start talking more college basketball as well. But yeah, so definitely wherever you are listening to this podcast, as I am available everywhere, definitely hit like, subscribe, follow, whatever the options are. Hit them all. If you can leave a review, do that. And if you want to interact with the show, because I do want to make this more interactive with you guys, follow me at Chompin Podcast on Twitter. You know, I will tweet from there, put up polls, all that kind of stuff. You let me know your reaction to the episode. If you agree with what I talked about today, if you think I'm crazy, let me know. We can go back and forth a little bit, you know, interact. SoundCloud users, I've said this past couple of weeks now. SoundCloud, I had some issues before with episodes there. It's been fixed for the past couple of weeks, so you know, if you like using SoundCloud, I am there as well. Now on SoundCloud, you have to search. I think it's easier to search with my name, Kyle Edwards, and then you'll see all the Chompin episodes there. So do that. But yeah. So thanks again. Hope you enjoyed it. Be safe out there. God bless. And hope you have a great Valentine's Day. I know it's a little different in a world of a pandemic, but hey, you don't need to go out to tell the person you love that you love them. So definitely do that today. But I'll catch you on the next episode. All right.